Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and all the above. Welcome back to Visual Disturbance. I am your host. We are back here once again. Giants are real. Egyptian document reveals. Hello, folks, and welcome back to the channel here. Visual Disturbance back again behind the studio. And got this haircut going. Well, not even a haircut. I got this hairdo going. It's almost like ancient aliens here at the Visual Disturbance realm. I feel like I've got an ancient alien hairdo because the news and everything and the propaganda and the gaslighting across the airwaves is beyond human composition. You can't even comprehend what's going on in reality. So welcome everybody back to the channel. And tonight we're going to be talking about giants here for a brief moment. Thank y'all for this impromptu broadcast, jumping in with me here on the Sunday evening. I'm a little fired up a little bit, folks, because it's one of my favorite topics. And before we get into that, check the description box. Hit me up on all the social media platforms, X, Instagram, Facebook. I'm trying to keep my Facebook building, but the powers that be here lately, it's been kind of rough around the edges. But hey, subscribe if you haven't. Follow me on there if you get an opportunity. There's a lot of things that I put on there that's not on the YouTube side of things. So subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And thank y'all so very much for being here in the craziest times ever known to mankind here in 2026. Bizarro world is what I would say. So a couple years ago, we talked about a particular topic. It's to do with the giants, but we talked about something about the Egyptian culture. We talked about Pharaoh Thutmose III, I think that's the name. And we talked about the giant narrative with that, the UFO phenomenon, and what have you. But I have a question for all the audience here tonight. Why now? Just why now? It's almost like we're being groomed or something. I don't even know if they'll use the terminology. Yes, I said that because it's almost like we are being pushed into an agenda or herded into something where it causes like anger, resentment, fear, whatever, all the above. It's insane. And I ask everybody in the audience, why now that this information is coming out? Well, when I'm talking about that information, I'll put it up on the screen here for you guys. So a couple years ago, we talked about this particular document, and I just want to throw it out there. It's resurfaced again, and it's, imagine that, 3,300 years ago, Egyptian documents hints of a biblical giants are being real. Wow. It's breathtaking. It's marvelous. It's historical information, right? We talked about this a while back, somewhere in the cyberspace of things in the Visual Disturbance channel. This is one of my favorite topics. I have talked about this. I have studied the mounds. I've been to places, and there's places on my bucket list I want to check off, but there's a lot of local around the area of the Kentucky culture, right? But we have this 3,300-year-old Egyptian document. It's popping off again, folks, just because somebody told you that it was real, right? The aliens are the next playing card they're going to play, probably more and less, likely, probably, ironically, that's where we're at, probably, because they have no other card to play. But it's ironic to me that 3,300 years ago, and they're pushing this agenda, resurfacing all this nonsensical ideology, bringing it back. And we've talked about this many times here on the channel. So let's just get into it. Let's just get into the topic matter. The topic. You gotta love this ads and stuff. Gotta love it. But the New York Post, imagine that. The New York Post resurfaced this document, hints about biblical giants. And there's certain things here I'm going to click through because, well, there's a lot of the trash on there and everything. I try to just censor all that. But according to the article, historians are scratching their heads at the resurfaced Egyptian scroll held by the British Museum that might support the claim that biblical giants were real. Oh, wow. Wow. Wow, I'm so impressed. Sarcasm inserted there. Genesis 6 talks about this many times here. We've talked about it here many times on the channel. Genesis 6, chapter 6 of biblical, and, we're talking about verse 4. But here it says Genesis chapter 6 of the Bible is about God's response to a widespread human wickedness and corruptness, which was supposedly caused by the Nephilim, powerful beings that were the sons of the fallen angels and human women. It was these sons who described as giant beings and referred to as men of renown that caused widespread chaos, which prompted God to cleanse the earth by destroying all creatures under the sky with floodwaters. And there's supposedly a document right here. It's kind of ironic that a lot of religion and a lot of places are all tied to angelic and tied to tablets that are Egyptian culture, and they're mounds, and voila, we get a religion. Voila, we get some type of rhetoric that we've had to inundate ourselves with. So there's the document, supposedly. So God flooded the earth because there was giant abominations walking around. So the question is, why now? So is the narrative of everything dropping? Is the narrative with the e-files and everything just too much for folks? It's like a psychological warfare 24/7. With the Internet of Things and the cyber warfare, basically what we're going through. Psychological and digital warfare is a good term to use. Spiritual warfare on top of that. So the e-files, Julie just talked about this the other day on a short and sweet video here on Visual Disturbance talking about time travel. There was a lot of folks in the YouTube side of things, the Visual Disturbance side of the world, say, hey, Brian, could you elaborate a little bit and talk about that more? Well, we're going to talk about it here in a few moments. We're going to talk about it. So, according to this account, under the sky, all the creatures got destroyed. So what happened? Why? Right? Because if you're new to this channel, you've never heard this narrative, because a lot of people say that it never happened. A lot of people say there's nothing about giants whatsoever that's realistic in any shape or form, and you can collaborate and, combine a compilation of all these things when it comes to cryptic creatures and giants and the Bigfoots and the dogmen, the lizard-like people, the grays that look like 10 foot tall and bulletproof. It's getting crazier and crazier by the millisecond. Insane. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, about the e-files. Let me just keep going here. Fast forward to now. And you got to love those ads. Got to love them. I'm going to try to, yeah. So fast forward to now, the Anasazi, a 3-3, y'all like how I say that. There's nothing there going on in Sinister, folks. I just love that the folks, the powers that be, they could have chose 34 or 32, but hey, they do 3,300 years. Old document that they've been in the British Museum since 1839 and has reignited the interest of the Associates of the Biblical Research and Religious Organization in Pennsylvania, has historians, researchers believing that these men of renown, well, it says renowned giants, may have actually been real. Well, I can prove that to you. You can go into the backyard pretty much in my literally walking grounds and where I was raised at. You can see it. You can go out down the road, literally down the road, and there's giant mounds everywhere, giant elements and remnants of things, tibula, femurs as big as the car. You got 250 foot, probably plus, a serpent-like mound-like thing in the sky, when you look at it from aerial view. We got it all here in the Kentucky bluegrass state. We got the hillbillies, we got the cool people, we got the blue people, we got every type of people up in Kentucky. Big shout out to the Kentucky folks, all walks of life. If you're just now to the channel, subscribe and share. Thank you so very much for being here. But yeah, these Anasazi folks, So these Anasazi folks, let me skip this ad because I hate seeing crud falling on my screen, because I know there's young folks that watch this channel. So, this ancient document that is believed to be 13th century, I'm skipping some of the ads, I'm just reading it here verbatim here, mentions ends with the Shosu people, who were supposedly 8 foot tall and bulletproof, which scared you have the Israelites as originally reported, okay? And then it goes down. And I said scared. I did say that. That's correct. Let me pull that back up. So, to connect the dots that Anasazi is proof beyond that it is said in the Bible that giants exist. Numbers 13:33, a verse from the Old Testament, also hints as Israelites come across these large beings, and we saw the giants and the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. I'm used to reading the King James Version. Forgive me, folks. The scroll, which researchers believe to be a letter written by scribes, says the narrow defile is infested with shoshu concealed beneath the bushes. Some of them are of 4 cubits or 5 cubits from head to foot, to fleece to face. Their heart is not mild, and they hearken not to coaxing. 4 cubits or 5 cubits tall, translated to a figure close to 8 foot tall and bulletproof. With all that being said, historians remain skeptical as they're reporting no physical proof or archaeology evidence that these giants once existed. On the flip side, claims of supersized humans from Central America roaming a remote town 90 miles northeast of Reno, Nevada, are still baffling scientists all these years later. While many believe these red-headed, pale-skinned giants to be legend, some reports of discoveries with a pair of miners alleged came across 60 human skeletons, some measured 7 and 8 foot tall and otherwise. So yeah, folks, the New York Post is dropping the 3,300-year-old document once again. So it's interesting to me that this good old boy can go and find information all over Kentucky. You can go and I can take you to places, but hey, it takes money and it takes somebody to transport me because I do not drive. But I can only imagine, folks, if I had that capability to show y'all what I know. If there's anybody out there, any archaeologist, hey, hit me up. Let's make it happen, because I have a lot to say and a lot to talk about when it comes to anomalies here in the good old state of Kentucky bluegrass. So let's talk about this real quick. Let's get back on this topic matter about the elite course, the people, the E-files that just got done dropping. So not only are they resurfacing other documents. We're not going to share those. We're not going to show them on here because I think I'm getting kind of held back. I showed a document on the E-files, that little video. I posted one of those documents about time travel, and I got a little bit suppressed. So I'm not going to show it. I'm going to be trying to respect the channel, respect the YouTube policies. Very strange, but that is literally what happened. So let's just talk about it. So if I remember, my memory serves me correct, I think it was like in October of 2021, there was this documentation about a Mrs. H. There's a political leader, she's blonde-headed and, she's not really that kind of a person. So Mrs. H talked about Denitra, I think her name was Denitra Sitchner, I think it's pronounced her name. I don't have the document in front of me, forgive me, but it's all by memory. But October 2021-ish, they dropped those emails, and they had the topic matter was just the highlight of the topic of the email, inquiring about the Gilgamesh and the Nephilim, where they're buried, what's going on, right? And I think that was supposedly like in 2019 when that exchange was going on. So it's kind of strange, or 2018, something like in that time frame. So it's strange to me. You have to focus on why are we being told certain things. Well, that's been resurfacing. The Gilgamesh, the giants, where they're buried and all that. Well, this good old boy can take you back to literally 1700s, literally the 1800s, and talk about strategically locations of giant mounds. I can take you there. Partial excavations, full excavations, or none have been excavated. I can take you to them. I know it. I have the topography. I have them. And these places, these folks here that are, stuck in their ways, forgive me for saying that. There's families that have owned this land for 200 or 300 years, possibly more in some cases, and they don't want to let you be on the land. They don't want you kind of navigating. They think that you're going to do something of a sinister nature. That is not the case whatsoever. I just want to find out about the giants, folks, and see if there's any giant, big 10-footers in your mounds, in your property. That's all it is. But, I know there's legal things, and, there's all these different archaeologists. There's all these different things that go upon that. And, you have to have a little bit of the money to make it happen. I get it. But these military renaissance missions and everything that went on back in the day, they was just going through there, pulling stones back, looking through things, finding giants, pulling them out, just marveling, wow. And then if you look around that time frame, the Great Reset, and then you have, 1848-ish, Abraham Lincoln talking about the giants in the mounds, the mastodons, all these different things, right? And we're sitting here today acting like we're just like, if somebody doesn't tell you, like, I'm blown away. Like when again, this topic, I've been told all my life years ago, there was a certain other theory that was told to me when it comes to church and biblical narrative, that there was no such thing as giants. They was just evil men that go around eating people in carnivalistic mindset and just carnival. They love blood. They just love things to that level. They're just evil wickedness that's driven with demons in their skull, right? And I have to sit here and ponder. I'm like, in my 2026, Brian, and go back to 1996 and listen to that rhetoric. Even back then, they would literally spoon feed you this agenda and this narrative that made no logical sense. But you could go back to the pulpit, back to, the days of the 1800s before the Abraham Lincoln, and you could hear them talk about the Hittites, the Amorites, the Zimazus, all these good guys. Well, excuse me, I almost said good guys, but 36 tribes of giants. So I thought about it. And since I did the video just the other day talking about the E-files, so just listen to this. E-files. You know what I'm talking about. The gray-headed guy, the people that said, all kinds of craziness that was being programmed and coding and just insanity that's been the evil, sinister plot. People that just are full of Satan. I get it. But we don't want to focus much on him. I'm going to focus on the document that I shared the other day. You can go check it out on the channel. It's about a 14-minute long video talking about time travel. Well, these E-files dropped the other day, and I thought, well, why in the world is the New York Post picking up this 3,300-year-old Egyptian document all of a sudden and talking about biblical narrative? What the heck? Because I guess what, folks? If you prove this, you prove the Bible, okay? Just think about that for a minute. If you prove this, you prove the Bible. Okay, if you prove the giants are real, you prove the Bible, because the Bible talks about it specifically. King Og, you can talk about the sons of God made with the daughters of men all day long. You can look at the 36 tribes of giants. You can go look it up. It's an interesting topic. Even the book of Enoch talks about it and elaborates a lot on it and complements, kind of complementary to the biblical narrative. It's really interesting, the book of Enoch. It's a good read. So, getting back to this and these E-files, and I thought about the biological, this is what it said. I'm going to paraphrase some of the wording on the email. Biological consequences to our population, or, in quote, mutant. And I thought about it. It was relating to some sort of type of time travel capability. No joke, folks. And not only that, there's other documents that's coming out with the E-files that we're going to be talking about on FOJC next Sunday. Talking about time travel broadcast. We're going to be really taking a deep dive on these topics. Quantum field, quantum entanglement, and you have to ask yourself, when it talks about the E-files, biological consequences and mutations. Did you know there was a certain sick, crazy place out there, let's just say, that was back in the day, in the 1900s. Did you know there was mutations all over Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and Tennessee, all up in the Appalachian Mountains, and they said it was from incest and all kinds of different things? In some cases, yes, unfortunately, that's the case. But did you know there was a sick program that what people was getting, let's just say, gathered up? That's all I'm going to say there. I'm going to watch what I say here. And when I found that out and looked about the mutations, about DNA structures and everything, and then, end quote, they was in their writings talking about the UFO phenomenon, the balloons and everything. You had the different wars going on. You had all these different things going on, and people was having mutations with different autoimmune diseases, different things to that nature, and they have to still to this day have to battle that. So you have to ask yourself a question. What was it, folks? Anybody out there with an intuitive mindset? We all know. There's been a 160-plus-year-old project that they've been doing something to us like we were cattle, and tag and bag, let's just say that. And forgive me if that's sensitive there, but there's something they do diabolically, and they're tearing down our DNA structure. So, the consequences of biological scenario and the mutations, and I thought the Gilbarim, the Nephilim, the mighty men of old, these blood signatures, right? What was they wanting? What was Mrs. H wanting when she was talking about gathering up the information about Gilgamesh and gathering up the information about the Nephilim? Where they was buried at, folks? Well, let me put this in perspective for you. You can go back and find a good old skeleton. You can get DNA from it, okay? Well, if you fast forward back in 2020, there was a certain company. Then there's a good old friend of mine, Joshua, and he brought that to my attention years ago, but I could not talk about it, but I think I could touch a little bit on it. There was a facility in the back of the facility on Google Earth. They was excavating a mound in the back of the facility where they want to put something in you. And they was excavating a mound in live time. We was watching it back then. So I had my conspiracy hat on tonight, and I thought before we go deep down the rabbit hole, and forgive me, folks, if this is sensitive, my brain is overloaded because I remember those memories of that place and that mound being excavated. And I go back and I think, well, when Mrs. H and Denitra was discussing an email about where these, so-called giants are, it's just so compelling and beyond words to look at this and say the E-Files came out and says, well, we have biological consequences. We have mutations, and we can time travel and jump time if you mutate. Right? But what if it's not a what if program, folks? But what if they need something from those old giants of old? And what if, just a hypothetical, crazy as it's going to be seeming here, because I like to throw some wrenches in the motor. The days of Numbers 13, you got the 1333, you're talking about the Anastasia. What if they're interdimensional? What if? What have we talked about this? We speculated, we kind of danced around the topic here on Visual Disturbance when we talked about the Kandahar Giant. Kandahar Giant, he just pops about nowhere looking like the story, the claim of that. He had this 500-year-old Roman soldier armor on. He's just like sitting there at the forefront of guarding the gate. Hey, fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. I'm going to take you out. I have my speculation. Is it some type of like interdimensional signature, radiation signature, nuclear signature? We've all talked about this here on Visual Disturbance, other platforms. And it's interesting that the days that just the New Jersey folks, shout out to New Jersey folks out there, they was doing these studies about nuclear studies. We have to find the nuclear sites and all the nuclear material, blah, blah, blah. And it's these drones, the orbs, and everything else under the sun. But this right here, it's relevant. It's resurfacing because it's relevant. It's Egyptian. The Egyptian document, talking about the Anastasia, talking about all these different topics of giants and the Nephilim, the Raphaim, when you talk about the biblical narrative with the great flood of Noah. We are in the days of Noah 2.0, folks. But what about that? What do you all think in the chat? What do you guys think if they done something to us so diabolical? And I'm not saying I'm on the fence. I'm not saying I'm even on the time travel mechanism and saying, hey, I'm all about time travel. I can't wait to get my DeLorean ride out with Marty McFly. That is not what I'm saying. But the E-Files are talking about it. The E-Files talking about the quantum field, talking about blood. And what if society, unfortunately, has been altered in some shape or form, and then something's going to happen? What if? And what if that good old rapture they all talk about, which I don't get on, and that's just my opinion. I don't want to tear anybody down or mock anybody in any shape or form. I just don't believe in that. And what if the August the 12th in 2026 with the Project Anchor, when they're saying that 7 seconds, the good old NASA, they're saying that we're going to float in the sky for 7 seconds and then we're all going to fly back down and it's going to be impending doom upon us. Makes you wonder. Really makes you wonder. So biological consequences, mutations back in the day, they didn't have resets, folks. They didn't have mud floods and let's just say camps for just fun-filled entertainment purposes. They did not. Go look it up, folks. Go look it up. There was something going on. I've read documents, and I'm not even talked about it much on this channel. I've got an old document that I had to go and find it at a college, a local college around here. And some of the folks was like, the older folks that was in their 30s and 40s was traveling along the Mississippi, coming over here into the eastern part of the states, and they had amnesia. This is around the 1800s, late 1700s, from the 1800s, early 1800s, somewhere in that time frame. I can't remember precisely the date, but they had amnesia. And the children had somewhat of a memory of recall, and it makes you wonder what really happened. Makes you really wonder. Ponder on that one and chew on that one for a while, folks, and get you a big cup of that. So yeah, the time travel thing, I don't know. I look at the Halls of Amity and look at the Thoth and everything that he was talking about in the Emerald Tablets. I look at about all the sinister plots. I looked about the cloning, the doppelgangers, the people that look like you can go back and see Mr. JJ back in the 1800s. He looking like he's over in Brooklyn. He's just sitting on the side of the road. Looks exactly like he does today. Photoshop, whatever it is. And then one other question you have to ask yourself, how back can you go to AI, and how far along has it been, and how much? Because I think it's ancient. I think we've been bamboozled and literally steered in the wrong direction. I think we've really been pushed to an agenda. Our mental capability, we've been gaslit to the highest degree. We don't even know how to even use our left or front or back frontal lobes of our brain. We've been cognitively tore down from head to toe. And I think when you look at the biological consequences, look at the mutations, and for the record, I just want to throw this out here. I'm a big advocate for folks with any kind of infirmities or any kind of disabilities. I do not mock that. I'm not associating in any shape or form. I am not mocking you guys whatsoever. I have a disability too, so I'm not mocking anybody out there what shape or form. I'm talking about something that is of a sinister state, okay? And this, I just want to throw it out there for anybody watching, okay? I'm not mocking anybody if you have a certain mutation or biological thing. I get it, okay? There's folks in my, I have other family that have literally just things, God bless their souls, they have all kinds of problems and they need prayer, and it's not their fault. It really is not. So when you go back and look at the historical documents and the historical history, somebody is accountable. Some evil, sinister person looks like a warlock with a white coat here in modern days, but you had like a little witchcraft type of narrative like Merlin back in the day. And we got to sit here and just twirl our fingers around like we just don't care and be desensitized with rhetoric like this right here. And forgive me if I call it rhetoric, because I can promise you right now, I can go and show places right now. If you could come and get me where I'm at, my location, I could take you literally and show you places that you never would have thought was even around. And they have literally documentation of people coming and taking these large femurs. You have to ask yourself a question, folks. Ask yourself one question, because if you go back and look at those dates and times, 1800s, 1900s, and that's exactly when you go back and look, that's when they started doing some diabolical things and putting stuff in us. I'm sorry. I dropped it. I've dropped it on here. I apologize. Just go do the research. I'm going to try to kind of tread the line here. Those times of old, finding these giant bones and stuff, that's when they started implementing Project Roll Your Sleeve. So, think about it. People's been disappearing. People's been going through all this different transmissions of abductions and everything like that. There's all kinds of things that go under the sun that we don't even know. It's under the dark. We got dumbs. We got underground facilities. We don't even know where we live, folks. We over here arguing about what the size of the world is and what the he said, she said, and all this crap that don't even make no sense. And I can go out here and say, look, there's a big femur over there probably in that unexcavated mound. You want to go help it? Oh, we can't do that. And try to get permission, and the folks would be like, I just really wish you wouldn't do that. And I was like, well, I appreciate you, and I don't do it because I'm a credible individual, and I have literally respect toward people. I'm not just going to be like, well, just push the gate down, let's just roll with it. But I have to ask, that's what they did back in the day. That's what those folks did back in the day when they did the exodus of the Native American culture. That's what they did. They pushed everybody out of the way. They pushed everybody out of the way and said, get out of my way, I'm going to take this land over. Makes you sick to your stomach because the culture of the Native Americans knew more than we do, And apparently the Egyptian culture knew a lot more than we do, and we're sitting back here sucking our thumbs, watching for our new TV show we can binge watch. Okay, forgive me for being so blunt, but when the Great Decree back in the 1960s, and the president at that time, I'm not trying to say anything here, but when he says and he vetoes it, and there's all this other agendas of SpaceX, and there's all this other crap. Excuse me, I shouldn't have said SpaceX, but there's a other space, I guess. I hear everything, right? There's these Space Force type of secret programs, okay? So what if it's all tied back to Nephilim and merging with the Nephilim? Just think about it, folks. Think about it. And guess what this means? When you look in the biblical narrative, it talks about being a new creature. A lot of people get all fearful. Oh, I got Nephilim in my blood type, my RH, and all these different things. Fear not. New creature. Be redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, right? You become a new creature. A lot of people scoff on this channel, like, man, what are you doing? You can't be preaching to me. Well, I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm actually just trying to give you some informative information that this stuff literally stacks up against it. You can literally prove it. You can prove it. New creature, right? So, if you got superhuman strength, God bless you. If you can see through walls, God bless you. If you're telepathic, telekinesis, you can time travel because of these sinister E-file people that can do whatever, hit me up and find me. I want to get a DeLorean charged up, put the flux capacitor in. Let's get the heck out of here. Let's go back to the 80s and at least try to do something. There's some fun right there. Some fun entertainment. We're supposed to laugh a little bit, folks. But if you can time travel and everything, hit me up in the description box below or in the comment section. If you can remote view, guess what, folks? They didn't MK us to death because the Cabbage Patch Kids and all that. I'm not talking about the dolls. There's all kinds of things that resonate with this particular topic, with the DNA resonance. Call it conspiracy, call it quack, call visual disturbance lost his mind and he's broke his back. Seriously. Is he visually disturbed? Yes, I am. That's literally. I'm not making that up. I literally am visually disturbed every day. This type of article here, though, a lot of people be like, wow, it ain't nothing. Giants are real. Well, think about what I'm saying, folks. Think about what I'm saying. Put two and two together. Go do some study on this. Go look back and see how long that these certain things that roll up your sleeve narratives go back to. Think about it. The logistics of the Nephilim, the Gilbarim, they're returning. They've already returned, and they're going back to the strategic locations. They know the longitude, latitude. We've talked about this many times on the channel. There was places that had the Wilmington tablets. You can look at this. They had strategically laid these tablets inside the mounds, and it had the longitude. I looked at the translations of the English language. It was telling you like the cosmological stance, and it would show you verbatim where it was going to be at. And who in the world, and how did you have the ability and the power to do that? To look over to see a sky view, because listen, folks, the Vimana, the Ifa, the Orfana, the alien craft or whatever you want to call it, we're sitting here sucking up to some individual that's got supposedly has an IQ of like 22,000 or whatever, and they're like, let's just get it done. Let's just forget the logistics, forget the geometry, forget all this stuff, and let's just cut the crud and just go right for it. Oh, we can't touch it. It's radiation. It's all this. It's fear, 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 and that's why we can't get on. That's why we can't get on with ourselves, because we're being inundated with spiritual wickedness in high places. That's all it is. Straight facts, nothing else around it, and here we are, and I hate to be fearful not to throw out any fear-monger conspiracies toward this, but that's my take on it. Merging with the transhuman phase now with the AI mechanisms, but then what did we do back in the day? What was the reset back in the day? And that's why you see people just demonstrating certain abilities, bending spoons and everything. And that's why that they was doing the things they did. They just didn't just be like, whoa, voila, like Aleister Crowley and wave a wand. Hello, child. Hello, young man. Hello, young lady. Whatever. You have abilities. No. It's DNA literally instructed in your genome. You can't do anything about it. Or it was stuck there. Or it was put there. Oh, I'm sorry for going there. Forgive me. Forgive me, all walks of life out there, and the powers that be, they're watching. How are you, right? The three-letter agencies, whatever. God bless you. I'm not a threat. I'm just trying to do the best I can and shine a little light here in this crazy realm of reality that we all live in. And like I always say, even my new shorts, it's all about the he said, she said. There's a certain term. Guess who's next? Talking that. Forgive me. You be leaving with the fat lip. You know what I'm saying? Forgive me. Forgive me, folks. There's a little sarcasm with that, but you cannot make this stuff up. And we're literally living in a time of like disarray and people's like cognitive abilities gone. We can't even remember what we said last week or what we said yesterday, what we had for dinner yesterday. That's all by design, folks. It's all by design because guess what? These Nephilim, the only thing they got left is the alien card. The only thing they got left, secret space programs, whatever it is, these E-files have literally stirred up the hornet's nest, and all they have now is the UFO phenomenon. Light us up, give us a float gravitational rift or whatever, float people off the ground, whatever you gotta do. Whatever you gotta do, folks. These people are sick and demented and wicked. Okay? So wait for the craft, whatever it is, the Vimana, all of it's documented. You can go look this up. You can fact check me. They're called the Vimanas, the Ephas, the Orphanas, and the Enoch literature. Ephas in the Bible, as Zechariah 5. It's crazy world we living in. Okay? Crazy world. So anybody with any credibility out there can get up with me. And let's just go toe to toe and let's just crack some of these Indians' mounds because I'm welcoming it. I want to find it. I want to be able to find the specimen and say, what are we doing? I'm not the Smithsonian. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a certain organization or anything. I'm ready to get this thing on. I'm ready to get this party show, this party trick out of the way, and let's just get it done. These men that go around the shadow government and all this stuff, that's who these are tied to. They have to have a certain DNA strain. That's why this Mrs. H was talking about these particular Gilgamesh and all these different things. And now we've done a show years ago talking about the 2,200 artifacts that was found in Afghanistan, all about to do with Gilgamesh's tablet, Gilgamesh's dream tablet, resurrection, all kinds of Book of the Dead and stuff and everything, Egyptian, all this crap that was involved with that. And forgive me for using just a very primitive word. But, like I said, it's all about the he said, she said. And there's powers that be that are literally living a lie. And I beg people out there that if you're in that position, you have that higher authority, holler at me. Because you ain't going to get nothing but just love, and literally I'm going to be a genuine human. I'm going to be a good human and do the right thing. Let's just stop hiding behind this and hiding behind the veil, acting like the Wizard of Oz on crack. Let's get it over with. Let's just get this game going. Let's just play this little card here. That's what it's going to take, a man of valor, a man that's got some gumption about him instead of sitting back and just twiddling his thumbs and, and just cowering down. And I think that's what's happened. It's all about the he said, she said, and this money train, right? It's a mess. We're in a mess. We're in a psychological warfare, demonic control on the highest order. And if you're just now new to the channel, subscribe, share this thing out. Thank y'all so very much. But I'm telling you, we're at a biblical war right now. We've always been. Listen to what I'm saying. Think about it. Chew on it for a little bit. But with that being said, impromptu broadcast here talking about the giants are real. The giants are real. So if you hit me up in the description box. Hit me up down in the comments below or Facebook or any social medias. If you have a location, let me know. Give me longitude, latitude. I'll put it up on Google Earth. If you have a mound or something like that, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I don't have any sinister mindset of plot or whatever. Give me the money. No. I would like to prove it. Because if the Egyptian New York Post and the Egyptians can prove it, sure, the good old hillbilly from the bluegrass state can throw a little dirt around, throw a little mud, and throw a little bit of mounds up in the air if I get clearance to excavate, because they did. The they is the people that I'm worried about. That's the people I'm worried about, concerned about. So, anyways, folks, keep it fresh, keep it real. And like I said, it's all about the he said, she said, and guess who's next? I'm just messing around. But anyways, I'm going to get off here. I want to thank y'all so very much. I know that my hairdo is looking a little spiky there, looking like somebody off Ancient Aliens. It fits the part because it's topic matter tonight. Talking about some of the controversial topics. I know they're way out there. Go check it out. But check it out. Time travel, time dilation. It's all in the mix in 86. And we're literally living something of a psychological mind game of our reality. Elon Musk, he just rolled with it, dropped it. We living in the singularity. So guess what's next? Interdimensional capability, traveling from here to, I don't know, England in 20 seconds. I don't know. That's what they're propagating. That's what they're pushing. Whatever it is, we'll have to see, soon to find out. Not throwing any smoke toward Elon. I even gave him a shout on social media on X. I was like, hey, yo, Elon. I want to see what's going on down there in Texas, man. I want to see what's going on. But yeah. So with that being said, everybody hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all so very much for being here. What a live stream it is. There's like 200-something folks in the chat, I think, give or take, or give maybe some more. Bill O'Connell, woo! Anyways, it's a big woo there. And Kim, Johnny Kirk, good seeing you. Stephen Flowers, Thunderstone, everybody. Ken, God's servant, keep it fresh, man. Okay, so we got Thunderstone again. Moon at noon. And Cherokee Tree. That's cool. I like that screen name. And Amber. And all the above. Jason Pennington just subscribed to the channel. Thank you so very much. And thank you for the super chat, Diane. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. But yeah, keep it fresh, keep it real, everybody. Stay away from the Happy Meal, and I will see you on the next one. I will definitely see you on the next one. Definitely. But y'all be good, be blessed, and I will see you over at FOJC tonight on Sunday Night Live with David Carrico and his special guest. So with that being said, peace out. And like I said, it's all about the he said, she said. Well, we'll see you on the next one. Visual Disturbance, I am out of here. Thanks again for being here.
Got one that can see.